In the United States, for the United States secret space program once proposed by Richard Hoagland. Wait, what do you mean the secret is that there is no space program? Oh, that's clever. I wonder what they'll think of next. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, you're trying to factor in the 8 inches per mile squared curvature of the Earth, and that's just not going to happen. Special thanks before we get to our mailbag today. Two special thanks. One is to Patricia Steer, who clarified something for me that I was talking about on her show, Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, just yesterday, which was I was calling out, there was a guy out there in the YouTube world. His name is Edric, although you'd never know it by the spelling. So it's Edrique, last name Visser, Visser. And he had contacted me because he said that he was part of the Kent Hovind ministries, and that he was trying to figure out, if the flat earth thing was real or not, and if he was implying that Kent was thinking of working into his ministry. And then I saw him post on, I think it was a Steven Anderson video where a pastor was up there just railing on us, on the whole flat earth movement. And I said, well, it's obvious this Edric guy is not on our side. He's coming against it. So I questioned his whole Kent Hovind connection. And Patricia clarified just recently that may not be the case. He actually may be tied to Kent Hovind's ministry. And if that is the case, then Kent Hovind is trying to build a case and maybe backing a documentary against Flat Earth. Now, I don't know if Edric is going to release this on his channel alone or if Kent is going to be behind it. But either way, they're in dire states if they try to. First off, Edric doesn't have nearly the amount of followers to even put something like this out. I mean, I don't think he's even got 20 followers at this point. And if he goes against Flat Earth with a documentary, you're a year into it, man. This thing's got so much momentum. It's just going to steamroll right over you. You can quote all the people. I know what you were trying to do. You were trying to get anyone in the flat Earth movement to show any sign of weakness, any weakness in the arguments that maybe you could exploit. You don't think that's been tried by now? Because it has, by a lot of people, better than you, more popular than you, and smarter, to be honest. So take your best shot. And if you're going to wrap this up with a tight, nice little bow and hand it to Mr. Hovind, and he's going to release it, you better be ready for some backlash there, because when it comes to chapter and verse, when it comes to the scripture and the flat earth, I trust the people in the movement a lot more than I do him. Yes, he was a great speaker. And still is a great speaker, but he hasn't looked into us. You were the first one that said it. I mean, you were on a fact-finding mission for him. So again, take your shot. But a final warning out to Ken Hovind. If you try to go up against Flat Earth directly with a documentary of your own, boy, you better have everything ready, because we've had a long time to prepare for this. A year is a long time in the YouTube world. And in fact, as of right now, what are we at? If you type in Flat Earth into YouTube, it comes in at about 5.93 million results, which is incredible. I mean, that's what, a 10,000% increase from 12 months ago. So yeah, by all means, come at us. The other thing, a quick shout out. Unfortunately, I screwed this one up. I said at Patricia's show yesterday that the painting that was delivered to me, FedEx, was by Joel Zimmerman. It was a nice flat Earth AE map painting, hand painted and hand framed. It was very, very nice. But it was not made by Joel. It was made by his son Sam. So it's actually done by Sam Zimmerman, and we are going to be displaying it. It'll be behind me in the next show coming up next Monday, which is great. And it is part 1 of 5 in the series of canvas prints of the oil painting. Others are coming. I'm reading the quote that he sent Patricia. Sam's website is Yosemite's yosemart.com, and I will spell that for you because it's not like what you think. yosemart.com. And there you can get free JPEGs of paintings, which people can print at home. There's posters, etc., and they will be available at the website soon. So again, we'll cover all this next Monday. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to those guys. So there you have it. And again, 5.93 million. Fantastic. The movement just keeps growing and growing. And remember, don't forget that when people will throw out the chart, you'll see the dip in the action. That's the mainstream media saturation point. I've got to make that very, very clear, because some people are saying, "Oh no, flat Earth's falling, flat Earth's falling." No, it's not. Mainstream media also has a saturation point, and when you have the world's most prominent physicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, getting into a rap battle with Bob. B.O.B., the Grammy-nominated rapper, you're going to get 100% media saturation. Everybody was covering it. So it actually hit 100%. Yes, it is falling now because we still got to wait for the next person to come out and talk about it. Who is it going to be? We don't know. But hopefully it'll be somebody cool. No subject matter expert this week. I have two that I'm trying to line up right now. I'm just not exactly sure which one I'm going to do first, because I want to do something a little different. The one I want to get is a fire consultant for structural buildings. So I believe he's a structural engineer specializing in fire stuff. So, but the people we've had so far, real quick breakdown. Anyone wants to come out and talk about this from a professional standpoint? I don't care if you're in the military, if you're in the private sector. I would love to talk to you. The people we've had so far include United States Navy missile instructor, U.S. Air Force navigator, U.S. Marine Corps sniper instructor, United States Navy submarine chief, U.S. Army artillery radar operator, Australian intelligence officer, American flight instructor, industrial engineer specializing in valves and seals, career surveyor, international shipping expert, corporate travel agent, air traffic controller, and United States Army master gunner. That was the last one we did. So, and again, we don't have to, you don't have to come on air and talk about yourself. You can do it anonymously. But if you do want to talk about it, that'd be really great. It would add credibility, but I'm willing to read a statement from you, and you do not have to use your real name in any of these scenarios, but would love to have you. We've had 13 people so far. Would love to just keep stacking them up. And yes, one person, I remember I said before that nobody's come out on the other side to talk about this. Have we had anyone from that level come out? No, but we did get a geodetic surveyor. I didn't interview him. He just came out and made his own YouTube video, which was really boring and horrible. But he did come out and say, no, from a geodetic survey standpoint, it doesn't make sense. And several people have emailed me along those lines, and I've got to remind people, a geodetic surveyor is really no different from an astronomer. And here, let me explain real quick. An astronomer goes in with the firm, solid belief that we're in the solar system model that we're in right now. If he does not believe in that solar system model, he doesn't even have a job, because you have to go in. You've got to believe all the studies over the years. And the same thing with a geodetic surveyor. Look that up when you get a chance. Look up that term, which is he has to believe in the globe model. If he does not believe in the globe model, he cannot even begin to, he doesn't leave his house in the morning. So he starts with, it's a globe 100%, no matter what. It doesn't matter what you tell him, he is going to believe. He's one of, I initially said that astrophysicists and astronomers were the only ones that were going to fall victim and crawl into a bottle when this thing finally breaks open. No, you can throw geodetic surveyors in there, because they, even though they don't believe, they probably do believe in the solar system model and the universe model like an astrophysicist, they are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Grounded. So he's going to believe in the globe. No matter what, he has to. There's nothing you can do to shake that person out of it, because the second you do, his career is over. He's just not going to get up in the morning. So there you have it. All right. So unless I have any other interruptions, and let me check my messages here, see if anything's going on. Nope. Everybody's cool. Everybody can hear me. So let's get right to the mailbag. Carelessly left on my secretary's desk. Gold star if you can remember who the secretary's name is. But the mailbag was just sitting there open, and I got a whole bunch of it. So here we go. Jason writes, hello there. I've been watching your videos non-stop the past 2 weeks. I'm totally on the flat earth bandwagon now. I'm a professional photographer and graphic designer of 25 years. All the blue marble photos are totally photoshopped, and I've never even noticed. Mind blown. I am trying to get the word out, seeming like a crazy person, but I totally went to a coworker and said, "Oh my God, the earth is flat." Watch the video. It will blow your freaking mind. They still haven't watched it. Haha. Thanks for opening my eyes to the truth. If you need any design work, I would love to help, free of charge. By the way, do you still game? It would be cool to start a Flat Earth clan on Xbox One. Just a thought. Let me know if you play, and I'll give you my gamer tag. Sorry for spelling and replaced words. This was sent from my iPhone. Jason. Thank you, Jason. Real quick. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The only people that are immune to the flat earth right now are the people that will not look at it. Because if you look at it, it is opening Pandora's box. Once you've opened it, you cannot close it. And it gets into your head and it's rattling around and you're never going to be able to shake it out. So again, perfect example, what you just did there, which is the people that don't get it are the people that just refuse to look at it. It's not that they look at it and then say, no, it's dumb. It's they won't look at it. They will not get past the denial stage. Remember, the 5 stages of acceptance are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Not to be confused with the 3 stages of accepting a greater truth, which we'll get into later. Oh, and as far as gaming, the only things I've really even had time for right now is checking my Warcraft account every once in a while, which is fine. You know, I'm on Stonewall, if I'm not mistaken. I know there were some server merges, and I jumped over servers at least once. And my character's still out there. In fact, if anyone wants to look at the character I still have that I play, it is... the character's name is Mark Sargent, and the link to it is at the bottom of the description of most of my videos. So you can check that out. I still play Warcraft, every once in a while, even after going on 12 years now. But with the Flat Earth, I've been losing so much time that I haven't been able to play anything else. I'd love to play Fallout 4. I played Fallout 3 and all the expansions and all the mods and all the hacks. I just loved that game. It was so beautifully bleak. If anyone hasn't played Fallout 3, pick it up for almost nothing nowadays and pick up some of the expansions. It's just beautiful. So I'm dying inside because I want to play Fallout 4, but I just don't have the time because I'm doing this. In fact, when the radio network finally cranks up, the Flat Earth Network, which I'm going to be doing at least 4 days a week, I won't really have much time for anything because I'm just going to be like I'm not doing it now. I'm going to be sleeping, and drinking Flat Earth 24/7. So. Next one is from Sean. Sean says, "Wow, Mark, you're fast. And like me, you don't seem to sleep much. Isn't that the truth? Ever since getting a hold of this, I see the world with such new eyes and check several times a day and night for new material. Wow, I stare at the sun and moon as if entranced. And I am awed with new reverence for creation and the creator. I am compiling a website and I am gathering nuggets to build my own presentations for the near future. This is too huge and too important to sit quietly. I'm also impressed with the Principal movie, and this may be a platform I will use to launch the topic with some who think they are too smart to hear the basics. Keep up the good work, my friend, and I pray we continue to prepare our hearts to meet our creator. Somehow I feel like he is going to show up soon, and this is sort of a pre-game show, if you will. Best regards and God bless. Sean." Thank you, Sean. And yeah, you may be right, because it has all the earmarks of it, that the creator, if enough people find out, it's the 100th monkey scenario. If everyone doesn't know what that is, look it up, 100th monkey scenario, which is enough people find out what the world truly is, then the experiment, or whatever you call it, becomes null and void. It becomes over, and the creator shows up to intervene. And then what happens? Ooh, that could be fun. This one is from... Oh, that's a long one. Hang on 1 second. This one's from Jay. Let me scroll up to the beginning. "Hey, Mark. Even before I viewed the first Flat Earth Clues video I stumbled across, I always wondered about the spinning ball theory, and I ran the gamut of theories in my mind and internet from expanding Earth model, hollow Earth theory to stationary sphere. I ended up with the Flat Earth model, which I know by the very constitution of my being must be right. Your video presentations have facilitated my ability to solidify this belief. And at this point, I feel it is axiomatic, though occult for many of the reasons you have touched upon. That said, although many questions have been answered, there are still so many more that make an inquisitive one like me still at sea. Pardon the pun. Oh, that's funny. I see what he did there. I hope to speak with you more on this amazing topic, but I would just like to query you firstly on the following. Satellites make no sense if there is no space, zero gravity, and impossible altitude requirements for the same. Question. I work for Boeing. The Renton 737 plant. Nice. However, in El Segundo, California, there is a satellite division, the old Hughes operation. So are they manufacturing dummy satellites? Or is this machinery being used for non-globe Earth orbital purposes? I'll answer these questions in order. The satellites are being made. There's people that turn wrenches and build satellites, but they don't go anywhere. They get put on rockets, they get sent up, and those rockets splash down the ocean, and nothing happens to them. The telemetry is taken over by the ATS, the Atmospheric and Transportation Safety Bureau, and NASA, and they handle everything else. So the satellites do get built. You can't hide everything from everybody. So you let the money get spent, and the machines get made, and you send them up, but they don't go anywhere. Do these things attach to the firmament physically, or are they being used for another purpose entirely? And are all satellite images just being recorded from high-flying conventional aircraft? Yes, they are being recorded from high-flying conventional aircraft. I don't believe, because you wouldn't want to use rockets for those things. So, no, these things aren't attaching to the firmament as far as I can tell. Are they being used for another purpose? Why? They're just little metal boxes. Just crash them. It's just money. This, of course, brings into question the launches out of Vandenberg Air Force Base in California that allegedly launched satellite payloads. Well, try all of them. Try, what was that one that went up today or yesterday? The European, the Russians supposedly just sent a probe on its way to Mars. It's going to be there in a few months. They didn't go anywhere. It's just more money being blown, or as Flat Earth Asshole likes to say, they're stealing your money. Question 2, not sure what to make of Planet X or any other planet for that matter. Yeah, what I've said before still applies. If Planet X rears its ugly head, do not be afraid. It is all part of the show. Remember, if it shows up on national television or world television, even worse, there's an ulterior motive there. Planet X, I don't care what sort of fireworks show they put in the sky, is not what you think it is. Oh, it may look convincing, but doesn't everything nowadays? Well, I mean, most things, except for everything NASA puts out and all their footage and everything related to any space program, really. Question 3, what generates the sun and moon and the respective energy to power each? Are they both disk spotlights of different waveforms? Yeah, they're different light sources. One appears to be incandescent. The other appears to be some sort of cool laser. They seem to both be self-illuminated. The moon isn't reflecting anything from the sun. So what's powering them? I don't know. Ask Eric Dollard. He seems to be a pretty good idea. He says the sun's just a transformer, and he's not even a flat earther. And he's saying, look, the sun's being powered by something else. The power's basically saying that the power is coming from somewhere else. So very, very interesting. Question 4, if there's no space we've always been told about, do UFOs, both black ops, military, and alleged alien craft, just project above us to some destination ultimately beyond the Antarctic ring, which encapsulates flat Earth according to flat Earth theory? Yeah, yes and no. There could be. I mean, there's a lot of stuff flying up there, no question. Are all these things that are flying up there? Are they part? Are they all in cahoots with each other? I mean, because it's not all United States. In fact, most of it isn't United States military. Don't let them snow you. Power perceived is power achieved. If I was running the Black Ops, if I was running the Skunk Works program at Area 51, that's exactly what I'd want you to think. I'd want you to think that we were the ones who were reverse engineering everything, but that simply isn't the case. And how we know this is because there's been UFO sightings, massive UFO sightings, going back all the way to antiquity. The perfect example, the one I love throwing out there because it's such a great story. Look it up. Look up the 1561 Nuremberg event. This was before the United States was even a country. And, these massive armadas are flying over Germany. 3 different kinds flying over there for an hour. And, they didn't need photographs. They just drew the whole thing out. It's incredible. The woodcut is breathtaking. And when you're looking at it, considering it was a beautiful spring morning in Germany, sundogs, whatever. Anyway, Jay wraps this up with, anyway, sir, I am sure you get bombarded by questions, so I don't want to duplicate the same here, so I will cut it short. Or on another note, I live in Redmond, Washington. Would like to enjoy meeting you someday. So if that is feasible, I would like to make an effort to travel to your locale so that we could converse about all things flat Earth and beyond. Sincerely, Jay Northrup. I wonder if he meant Redmond, Washington, or is there a Redmond, California? It could be Redmond, California, because he said he's done stuff in California. So maybe, Jay, hey, I'll meet up with you. Sure. Patrick writes, hi, Mark. Love your work on Flat Earth, and your clues helped me to realize the truth about our Earth. I live in Sweden. And on YouTube, there are no videos on Flat Earth with a Swedish title. So I was thinking it would be okay to repost your clues with a Swedish title. I don't want to get any credits for your work. Just get people in Sweden to easier find your clues. You can tell he's native Swedish. Or even better, maybe you could repost them yourself and I can email you a translation of the titles in Swedish. But I understand you're a busy man. Or do you have any ideas on this topic? I was even thinking about making the subtitles in Swedish, but that would be enormous work. Regards, Patrick Poot Eliasson. Real quick, Patrick, anybody that wants to take the clues, I mean, because they're Creative Commons license, and to put them read them in another language, translate them in another language, have at it. Right now, currently, they already closed captioned in all languages. YouTube allows that feature to where if you have the transcripts of any of your videos, you just send it to them, and then they will automatically translate it. So if you're logged in to if you're logged into YouTube in Spanish and you hit closed captioned, yeah, you'll hear my voice, but the closed caption subtitles will be in Spanish. Same thing, French and German and anything else you can think of. So they're already subtitled, and I'm sure the translation software of YouTube is not flawless by any stretch. But if anyone wants to translate them into another language and have fun with them, I have the transcripts in a single zip file. I can shoot them off to you. Have fun with it. And again, just spread the word. Love for you to do it. Won't cost you a dime. Just have at it. The only thing I'm making money on Friday now is the book, Flat Earth Clues. Pick it up at Amazon.com. That was a shameless plug. And I shouldn't have done it, but I'm going to. Robin writes, Robin Poe. She actually wrote this to a bunch of people at the same time. She caught a broadcast of WAM live a few days ago. Noticed that mentioned a few. This is not written to me. Noticed that you mentioned flat Earth. There's a large community of people that have discovered that the Earth is flat. This is not a matter of faith. It's a matter of math, physics, and geography. One of the things that is closely tied to the discovery of the flat Earth is the historical and ongoing NASA fakery. I found out about the flat Earth when I was researching the Mars Curiosity rover, which I found to be the fakiest piece of NASA fakery I've ever seen. She used the word fake more. I knew it was fake, but I wanted to find out why they faked it. That brought me slamming directly into the flat Earth. Would it be possible for me and possibly other people in the Flat Earth community to be guests on your show to discuss our findings? We could also give your viewers some interesting experiments they can do themselves, like observations on the moon and the curvature of the Earth, or lack thereof. Mark Sargent, YouTube channel, she links me, is our best spokesman. Oh, that's awfully nice, Robin. And is very familiar with media broadcasting, but any number of us could drop in as guests. I have copied Mark Sargent in this email, but I could also propose a number of other YouTube casters. Let me know if this is of interest to you. Thanks, Robin Poe. Thank you very much, Robin. And yeah, what she's doing, a lot of people say, what can I do? What can I do? Spread the word. Contact anybody on any Flat Earth spokesperson's behalf, any of the major players that are already doing interviews out there or their own shows. Say, look, I think you should talk to some people about Flat Earth. It doesn't necessarily have to be me. Lord knows I've done enough interviews so far. But get the word out there. If you know somebody that runs a podcast or a full-blown radio station, or television or anything, they're looking for interesting stories, please, by all means, throw it out there. Let's see. I think I can do one more before the first break, which is Scott writes, Mark, your iPad app is awesome. I'm 52 years old, and I like searching out truths. Your site has been a welcomed source. Thanks for not getting involved in petty internet squabbling. Scott. And you know what? I'm going to do one more, just for the heck of it. Sasa writes, I saw your documentary. Excellent work. I believe that the Earth is flat and know few friends who also think so. As you said, it is very hard to talk to someone about this without being declared insane. Only the evidence can convince them otherwise. But some do not want to hear neither that. I would be grateful to receive an answer from you. Regards from Croatia. Sasa. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. When you're talking to people, what I've been trying to tell a lot of others recently is come at them from the side. Come at them like you're on their level. Like it's crazy. Listen to the taxi guy in England, he was talking about that, where it's like, oh, that crazy stuff that's on YouTube. Can you believe that's what they believe? Because you can feel them out really quick, because they come back and say, oh yeah, people believe damn anything on the internet. Then you probably shouldn't pursue that any further. But if they come back and say, I heard something along those lines. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson on television. It seems very, very interesting. And then they could warm up. You can feel it. The Fight Club mentality still applies here. Do not talk about it, but at the same time, choose your targets wisely. So, anyway, we come back from break. More mailbag. Welcome back to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, and this is Flat Earth Mailbag. Yes, the mailbag, carelessly left on my secretary's desk. But here I am, going through it late at night. Just me. Everybody else has gone home. Angela writes, Dear Mark, I'm a British woman living in England. Kind of redundant, isn't that, Angela? I loved your Flat Earth Clues videos. I've watched about 11. I may have missed the end ones. Only heard about this a few days ago. However, I would love to know who or what you feel made the Flat Earth system, as you have seemed to imply that an intelligent force, presumably you don't believe in a God creator, has specifically designed the system to protect humans. That saddens me, really. I am a believer in a universal being or God. Are you implying extraterrestrial creators? My husband is Muslim, and I broadly accept the Quran. I have also found an interesting page on an anti-Muslim site arguing that the Quran must be wrong, as it posits a flat earth. Interesting. Do you have any links to good videos or reading for the proof in ancient texts of flat earth? And then she sent me a link, the islamwatch.org proof Quran thinks earth is flat. Why are there not more whistleblowers from NASA and the airlines, etc.? Keep up the good work. Warm wishes, Angela. Well, I can't fault her too much, because she just barely got into this. If you want to look more into, if you've only seen the clues, you've got a lot more content out there from a lot of really, really great people. No one specifically I can mention in the Muslim sector. Talking about the flat Earth, nobody real is super dedicated to the cause. There's quite a few Christians out there, like Rob Skiba and Celebrate Truth and Controversy 7. But when it comes to Islam, they're just, they're out there. There's not that many. If you're going to dig into this a little further, I highly recommend the Flat Earth Shortlist, which is on my playlist on the YouTube channel Mark K. Sargent. That covers a whole bunch of stuff. Nothing Islamic directly, I'm afraid, on that list. But there are people out there that are covering it. I just don't know any names off the top of my head. And to answer your question, why are there not more whistleblowers from NASA and the airlines? Actually, I've got one flight instructor and a guy from the United States Air Force that's already been talking about it. So there's people out there that are talking about this. Now NASA, well, that's the brass ring right there. If I can find anybody, retired NASA, current NASA, has anything to do with NASA that's willing to talk about what's going on and what programs are being faked or even suspicious activity, I would love to talk to those guys. But of course, don't put anybody in danger in the process, because they can. The powers that be can ignore a lot of different groups. They can ignore the major armed forces and the private sector, but NASA, they can't. So we're still working on it. Just remember, a whistleblower from NASA, that's what everybody wants. So thank you, Angela from England. Steve in New York City writes, Mark, funny how the word polygraph has not come up for testing NASA claims for those who work at the top. It would be so easy to take a lie detector test and put the challenges to their claims to rest. Or would they take the fifth, like everybody else from the government caught in scandals? Well, Steve, yes, it would the lie detector test would be a great way to prove it. But like you said, not only is it easy to take a lie detector test, it's also easy to fake a lie detector test, because who's going to be administering it? The government, independent. I mean, yeah, you could pin down an astronaut and strap him to a lie detector machine, but at that point, his vitals are going to be all over the place. You're never going to get a clear answer. Nor do I encourage anybody to do that. But that you got a point. That no one's gonna, they're not going to be. Look at the astronauts who were asked just off the cuff to put their hand on the Bible and talk about it. They wouldn't even swear under oath, which again wasn't even under oath. I mean, yeah, it was a Christian Bible, but it wasn't about swearing on a Christian Bible. It was about swearing to God Himself. And so, yeah, it's a good point. I don't think we're ever gonna get any of these guys to get to confess under oath, but a nice idea. John writes, I was just wondering, what is your take on weather satellite footage? If there are no satellites in orbit, how do they get the global satellite weather pictures we always see? I'm sure it could be done with ground-based technology, but I'd be curious to hear your take. One other question I have is the issue of circumpolar stars and your thoughts on that. Love your show. It's a fascinating topic indeed. John. Lots of videos on this already. When it comes to weather pictures, yeah, done by the ground, done by the air. You don't have to use satellites to do it. You can do, high altitude aircraft, modified AWACS, modified U2s, modified anything to get some of the pictures, and then the ground radars handle the rest, and then you just stitch up some stuff together, hand it to the news people. Ta-da! They're standing in front of a green screen showing a picture of the globe with some clouds over it. Not hard. Not hard at all. Let's see here. Jeff writes, greetings. I ran across one of those fun facts articles about the North Pole. The thing I found most interesting was how it mentions that nations are fighting over oil. Gee, where's all the concern for our environment up north? We may not have had environmental groups when the Antarctic Treaty was signed, but we certainly do now. Their silence is deafening. Keep up the good work. Regards, Jeff. Yeah, the North Pole, you're fighting over things. South Pole, you're not fighting over anything. South Pole, you're not talking about anything. For those of you who are just listening to this for the first time, look up the Antarctic Treaty. Ratified in 1959, still in effect. Won't even be up for debate till 2041? No corporation can go down there and exploit the resources, even though the government says it's 13 million square miles of just ice and snow and more ice and more snow. So, tell me why that is again. Tell me why it's happening. You can't. Which is why a scientist, there's a lot of questions out there that science cannot answer with math. Try to use trigonometry on that question I threw out there about the Antarctic Treaty. You will never be able to solve it, which is why science is just avoiding this like the plague. Josh writes, hey, Mark, I was wondering if you could help me with something. Is the azimuthal equidistant map the correct flat Earth map, or is it just something we go off until we get a real map? And you should do more videos like the Flat Earth Clues, but go more in depth into plane routes, Antarctica, and other stuff just to disprove the facts the ball earthers bring forth. God bless, Josh. Two things, Josh. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The azimuthal equidistant is sort of a placeholder for now because it's the best thing we got going. I know other people are working on the map, and they're doing their best. I mean, Tiger Dan from England tried to redo the map and apparently went insane doing it. Is there something with the AE map? Yes, there is. We don't know exactly what it is, though. So what I try to tell my fellow flat earthers are, until there is a better map out there, that's the one I'm going with because it is the symbol. It's what's on the UN flag. It's the one that's mentioned, all over the place when you're talking about the list of map projections used by the USGS. And again, what's a good example I can give here? The example would be the Eric Dubé challenge, which was he had one of his people ask me. In fact, I think it was John LeBon, who asked me, Mark, if you had somebody that gave you better footage of the moon that you could use in a flat Earth argument instead of Crow 777s, which I use now because it has that great lunar wave footage, would you use it? And the answer, which I put back to John and then to Eric, which was, yes, of course I would. I'm going to use the best stuff that's out there. I mean, yes, I know that Crow 777 is not an official flat earther, but he does agree that there's something really, really wrong with NASA and what they're portraying up there. NASA is hiding something monstrous. And if it isn't the shape of the Earth, boy, I don't know what it could be because they're going to extreme lengths to hide the Earth images. But if somebody else came out with better footage than Crow 777 that would help my case, you bet I would use it. So until somebody comes out with a better AE map that is more convincing, a better flat map that is more convincing, I'm using the one I got, the one I started with, the one that's in the clues and on the cover of the book. So, but I will not lose any sleep if somebody comes up with a slightly different map that makes it more realistic. So, moving on. Milan writes, hey Mark, my name is Milan. I have to thank you because it was your video that opened my eyes. You must have heard and read this millions of times. Billions, I hope. Oh, not billions. Man, this is crazy. Matrix. I'm a born and raised Serbian, just like the smartest man in our history. All right. I've seen war with my own eyes and lived it more than once as a young man. Lived in the States since 2000 and am a U.S. Army veteran. M1 Abrams was my home for almost 4 years. That's a tank, by the way, if you guys haven't figured that out. Worked for Wells Fargo as a licensed banker and some other Fortune 500 companies. Now back in Serbia and started a family. Good for you. My research has just started and I've already found God. Even Tesla, oh, that's what he's talking about, was talking about the dome and that he believes in a supreme being. You're a smart man. You know all the things he invented, and Einstein is the smartest man alive. Well, maybe. We know why. Cannot get a Bible off my mind, and I'm starting to read it. As you must have had, I have had so many questions. What did you do next? How and when did you unplug? Thanks again from the bottom of my heart. Best regards, Milan. I didn't unplug. It just took me. I'm stubborn when it comes to a lot of stuff. It is one of my weaknesses. I'm extremely stubborn, and when I dug into this, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to prove it wrong. I really, really did. I tried to for months. I worked every little angle. I may not be the fastest problem solver in the world, but I consider myself very creative, and no matter what cheat, what dodge, what hack, I could not figure out the angle. I couldn't figure out how to stomp this thing out. To where finally I just flipped and there was so much on the other side. I said, you know what? I'm going to take it from the other side and see if I can actually prove it. And that's when I built the clues, when it all came to me that night. And once I did that, again, I put the challenge out to everybody, and I didn't unplug overnight. It was how I unplugged was that no one was coming up against it that was dissuading me. And here we are over a year, pushing 13 months. 13 months and a little more than 13 months. And it's still, nobody has come out to stomp this thing down. It just keeps getting bigger and weirder and more wonderful. And so no, unplugging is different for everybody. And for me, it was a longer journey than most. So thank you, Milan. Rob writes, hey everyone, just letting you know that I have launched a new Flat Earth website called atlasexposed.com. It works like the Drudge Report by consolidating Flat Earth searches and YouTube videos into one site. I have everyone's channel listed and a golden oldies list of videos that all new searchers should watch first. Really? I'm a golden oldie already? It's a year. Still adding videos. Would appreciate you spreading the word and would also appreciate any suggestions that you feel should be changed or added. I am still adding some content like frequently asked questions, which I hope to have done in this week. As a Christian, I really appreciate all the work you have done in getting this truth out to the masses. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob. This one is a little longer. And this one's from Ernie. You have to bear with me. I'm going to have to take a deep breath on this one. Ernie writes, hey, Mark, my name is Ernie. I watched your video several times, and it's opened my eyes and my mind to the lies and deception that I had been so convinced was truth and reality. I work in the aviation field. I fly regularly to perform test flights. I sit in the cockpit and monitor and observe the skies and horizon as well as the navigational and engine instruments. Now that I see the world with new eyes, it is maybe consider other facts. There are altimeters in the aircrafts, which are calibrated instruments that measure altitude above a fixed sea level. The instruments are based on flat Earth principles and are not equipped to automatically compensate for the curvature of the heliocentric globe we are led to believe we live on. The aircrafts are also equipped with horizon attitude gyros, which are also calibrated instruments based on flat Earth principles that indicate the attitude of the aircraft in reference to the horizon given the pitch and attitude of the aircraft. If the Earth were a spinning globe revolving at 1,100 miles an hour, the pilot or autopilot system would have to frequently descend to compensate for the curvature of the Earth while flying in any direction. The aircraft operator would have to physically adjust the mechanically operated control surfaces of the aircraft, and the change in pitch and attitude would be reflected on the navigational instruments previously described. According to science, the Earth spins on a wobbly, tilted axis at 1,100 miles an hour from west to east. If this were true, then aircrafts traveling eastbound would never be able to reach their destination because the aircraft cruise speed is less than the Earth's spin, unless they were traveling at speeds significantly faster than that of the spinning globe. Furthermore, planes traveling in a north to south or vice versa direction would have to calculate their flight pattern based on the 1,100 mile per hour rotation of the spinning globe and set their trajectory of flight based on their speed, direction, and the speed of wind, if any, among other factors. Yet, this is not done when we do our flight plans. Some have argued that the reason we do not have to compensate for these factors is because the globe and its atmosphere work in sync with each other, as if the sky was encapsulated and in motion with the ground, thus causing no effect on these matters. How would you respond to this? As for the UN flag, others have responded by saying that Antarctica is not on it because it is not a nation or country. It has no permanent population. I reply by mentioning the USGS azimuthal equidistant map of the world, which also does not depict Antarctica. Most people I know and discuss this with come from Christian roots. I tell them there are at least 21 scriptures in the Bible that would support or suggest that the earth is flat, yet none would hint or indicate that the earth is a globe. I've also discussed basic physics. Water always finds its level, gravity versus magnetism, and the stars and constellations. It is truly amazing how brainwashed the authorities that be have us. To know that anyone can have that amount of control over one's thoughts and basic beliefs is incredulous. What an awakening. It reminds me of the movie Matrix. We swim in a sea of information, yet are drowning in our own ignorance. We would rather be lied to than be told that we have been deceived. Oh, I see where you got that. That's a Mark Twain quote, by the way. Very, very good. Write that down. Remember it. Thank you for revealing the truth to me and giving me the motivation to do more research on my own. Regards, Ernie. Thank you very much, Ernie. Avionics technician. Telling it like it is. This is from Steve. Steve writes, "Hello, Mark. I am Steve Gamach from Texas. We have spoken together about the ATC, the Coriolis effect, GPS versus Loran, and a few other things. I'm the guy that volunteered to be your aviation SME. Oop, I probably shouldn't have said his last name. I didn't spell it, though. Sorry, Steve. If you remember, I just finished listening to your interview with, you got to put it in the title. I just finished listening to your interview with Brian, the Army Master Gunner. Congratulations. It was incredible. I listened to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potato 69, and you mentioned on that show that you would be interviewing a Master Gunner soon. So I've been checking for it to be posted. Brian, the Mike Gulf, that's military for Master Gunner, really underplayed his expertise. A Master Gunner is a person who is an elite soldier and at the very pinnacle of scientific understanding of a host of integrated systems. Despite how Brian made it sound, very few people ever reach this level of professional credentials. I'm sure you understood his unique abilities as he discussed GPS, the Coriolis, and gravity, as well as his math and his logical deduction abilities. I enjoyed the interview very much, especially your drawing him out on various subjects. I greatly respect our Master Gunners. They are the scientists in the Army combat world. It was wonderful that you got one of them on with you. Good job. My big takeaway from the interview is this, as Brian stated, don't tell us something. Don't just tell us something. Tell us why and prove it. Also, let's look at the world with fresh eyes and use our scientific community to come to a true understanding of what it is we all live on. Thank you for doing these SME interviews. In my humble opinion, they are the most informative segments of the ongoing development of the Flat Earth theory, and you always do a wonderful job. Your guests, like Brian, the Mike Gulf, are simply the best. Please keep it up. It will bear the fruit you are looking for, and I believe that harvest will be soon, even perhaps this year. Harvest this year. Maybe. You emailed me a couple of weeks ago about the DARPA Exacto project I mentioned to you. You were indicated that you would call me, but you were busy at the time. So I'm still open for the call should you choose to do so. Thanks again, Steve. Thank you very much, Steve. And I'm sorry to mention your last name again. I didn't spell it. Hopefully, I didn't get you in trouble. If I don't call you in the next 2 or 3 days, please call me and leave a message. I would love to talk to you about this. I've been really busy with a lot of different things. But I enjoyed our conversation, and yes, would like to talk with you again and again. Yeah, Brian, the Master Gunner, was great. Loved having him on, and thank you for building up the Master Gunners. A lot of people I did not know actually that Master Gunners were held as such high regard either. But it's wonderful, and it was kind of fun to draw them out. And thank you for mentioning that the testimony shows, now 13 deep, are a very important part of this process. As a matter of fact, Jaron from Jaronism came out and asked me to make a trailer for that because he thought they were important. And so I made a trailer just for the testimony shows. I've already had the playlist out there. There's a playlist called testimony shows, but now there's a trailer for the playlist that you can go in and it's just pick and choose whatever you want in there. But there's a lot of neat people that I've talked to. And again, nobody has called me to come up against it. Nobody in the armed forces has called me or emailed me and said, oh, I'm in the United States Navy. I've been in for 20 years and you're full of crap. Nobody's done this. Why not? Nobody. No, and from any sector, nobody has come on to refute the people that I've had on so far. And no, the geodetic surveyor does not count against the big land project surveyor. They're completely different surveyors. And plus, he didn't even refute it. He didn't contact me. He just made his own video and didn't even go after the other surveyor stuff. He just did his own stuff. So anyway, thank you very much. Michael writes, "Hey Mark, I was listening to your show on the U.S. Army Gunner. I think your key to the flat Earth proof in gyros is the laser gyro. Laser gyros don't process like mechanical gyros do. All late model commercial airliners all use laser gyros now. No moving parts. If you would like to discuss the why and how it works, I'd be glad to help. We spoke a couple of weeks ago on the phone. I worked for United Airlines for 30 years. I'm an airframe and power plant tech and also an avionics tech. I'm also a pilot." There's Michael. You know what? I got to call him. I think I've already called him recently, but I'm going to call him again. So thank you, Michael. And again, reach out to me. If I don't reach out to you, I get so many calls and so many emails, but I'd like to talk to you again. Who is this one? This is kind of a long one. I think we can get it before the break. Yeah, maybe. I don't know the name off the top of my head, so let's just get into it. Hey, Mark, just wanted to share with you my tagged by Flat Earth vehicle. I took an extended break from Flat Earth content from about November 2015 to January 2016. I'm glad you can take a break because I can't. I had somewhat of a breakdown as all of the information regarding Flat Earth began sinking into the deepest and darkest corners of my reality. By that I mean is after researching and consuming Flat Earth content from March of 2015 to November of 2015, I finally cracked. The world I've been living in, although always knowing on some level something was wrong with it, was all a lie. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I needed time to process everything without participating in any Flat Earth content or discussions. I needed to discover what Flat Earth meant for me. And I did. I've gone on hikes here in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, getting close to nature and really listening to my inner spirit. And since the beginning of February 2016, I've been consuming more Flat Earth content and catching up with where the movement has grown to. I don't want this to be too long-winded. I know you get a lot of emails now, but I want to thank you for reaching out to me last year when I was beginning to awaken to the Flat Earth. I was 26 when I watched your clues in March of 2015. I'll be 28 in a couple of months. And I'm not sure I handled all this information very well. It nearly destroyed me. But I think it needed to happen so that I could be fully stripped of all the fake reality disinformation I've been fed my entire life. Thank you for listening when I spoke to you on the phone and over Skype in 2015. I'm still deliberating internally whether or not to put myself out there in my own videos with fears of my future career or friends and family disowning me entirely. I'm still on that journey and can't shake the urge to speak about my Flat Earth awakening to others. I leave you with a picture of my car this morning, wiped clean from the frost and tagged by Flat Earth. I hesitated for a long time putting it on my car. Here's hoping I get a few honks. Cheers, Mark. Keep doing what you're doing because you are touching lives in ways I can't describe with your message. Oh, and say hi to Patricia for me. Yours and her shows are my absolute favorite. Thank you for listening. Eric Escribano. Thank you, Eric. That's really, really nice. I think I got time for one more before we go to the break. Justice writes, that's a great name. Mark, I got a nice gem for you. remember Schoolhouse Rock? I was taking a break from Flat Earth and realized I can't escape it. Ha! This one totally caught me off guard. Watch this episode of Schoolhouse Rock about adjectives, link below, and notice the turtle in the end is labeling his environment with adjectives. Look closely and watch what he labels the earth at the end. This was right in front of our face as children, but we never questioned it. Enjoy. Justice. And yeah, he's absolutely right. Look up the Schoolhouse Rock song Adjectives. And the turtle is putting signs on things in the last, 20 seconds of it. Tall, fat, curly, all this stuff. And literally the very last sign, just before they fade to black, is he puts a sign straight into the earth, and it says flat. And then it goes to black. It was just great. I just smiled because I'd watched that thing. That thing was designed in the 70s. And I had watched it, hundreds of times in my youth because it was always on Saturday mornings and then Sunday mornings where I lived. And so it was great. So, yeah, Earth is flat. So, hey, we're going to go to break here in a second. And then we come back where you've got more emails, lots more stuff, some from military, some from civilians, always interesting. If you feel like emailing me, it's msargent23@comcast.net. If it's an interesting email, I will read it on air. I don't think you're going to get a t-shirt for it or anything like that, but it'll be kind of fun, and who knows where it'll lead to. Will it lead to a guest spot on my show? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's always nice to hear from people. And so, yeah. Stay tuned. We'll be back. More flat stuff. Welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, and tonight is mailbag night. Always fun reading mail from the listeners. So write in at msargent23@comcast.net, and that's MSARGENT. Don't spell my name like the military version. My name only has 7 letters, and the military version has 8, I believe. So, mailbag, again, carelessly left on my secretary's desk. Secretary's name, gold star if you can find it. Send me emails. Let me know if you remember my secretary's name. But here I am alone in the office going through like a private detective. Here we go. Marcus writes, hey, I was in the United States Army Field Artillery as a 13M, I don't know what that stands for, MLRS, I do know what that stands for, which is Multiple Launch Rocket System, crewman. I never heard or learned about as a launcher gunner as well as a brigade commander driver while our group was fielding, AFATADS. Somebody write in that one because I'm not going to look that one up. Neither the fire control elements or our own launcher ballistics computers using either Coriolis effect or curvature. I didn't want to put this up in the comments for everyone, so I emailed it to you. Thanks for taking the time to read. Marcus Sargent, United States Army, retired. So thank you. There you go. Another United States Army guy. And we already know this. I mean, but again, please don't think it's redundant to send in your stuff. If you're in the military and you know the Coriolis effect, which means the spinning of the earth, isn't being calculated to fire anything from a sniper bullet to artillery shell to a missile, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. It just more logs on the fire. Let's burn this sucker down. It's great. Love it. Oh, who's next? Oh, this one's kind of... Douglas writes. I have to scroll down to find their name. Hey, Mark, just wanted to say hi and keep up the great work. I also want to share a cool thing I do to get the word out on multiple sites like sergeantreport.com, etc., where they allow you to make comments that the masses can read. Whenever I see an article that contain a globe or fake CGI world, which they all are, smiley face, I post this. And I'm not going to tell you what movie this is from. You guys should know this by now. I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you, a world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries, a world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you. So let me know what that movie's from. You guys should know it. That's a classic. It's also from the greatest year in movies ever, 1999. Look it up if you think I'm kidding. 1999 is when we absolutely hit the pinnacle of movies. He also says that picture of the Earth used in the article is a fake, a CGI rendering. Simply, the Earth is a flat, stationary plane. You think you are awake? Knock, knock. The Matrix has you. This is the great deception that all the rest are built upon. Its main purpose is control and to hide intelligent design. Modern science, as taught by the gatekeepers, is nothing more than a religion. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. If you should so choose to walk down this path, a warning. The cognitive dissonance will be strong. We have been indoctrinated into this system since we were small children. It's a home. It's in every classroom, in books, on television, in the beginning of every movie and in movies. And the list goes on. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Here are a few intro resources. The rest is up to you, Douglas. So yeah, this is what Douglas is like posting on any forum he can get his hands on. Anyone that's posting real science, at least what they're claiming to real science and NASA pictures. That's great, Douglas. Thank you for using all that stuff. That's fantastic. Let's see here. Carol writes quite a bit. What's Carol got? Hey, Mark, I've been listening to your YouTube stuff now since about last August. I'm beginning to believe that thinking about this flat Earth theory and or fact actually causes neurological brain changes, maybe even lays down some new pathways or something, because I've begun to conceptualize that I've never even considered. I've wanted to share something with you, what came to my mind recently as a little glimmer when you were describing the Earth's spin like a merry-go-round in the park. Please bear with me, as I've never tried to articulate this thought before, so it will be clumsy for me to set it up. Keep the globe Earth and its atmosphere as a park merry-go-round in mind. The Earth purportedly spins at approximately 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. The Earth purportedly orbits the Sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and the solar system purportedly moves through the galaxy at 514,000 miles an hour. Wow. Prior to a flat Earth, I really didn't think about all this motion. It was in the back of my mind, and that's all. So then if I understand the very rudimentary basics of how all the planetary bodies stay together in all this motion, it is through gravity. So gravity must be one powerful force to hold planetary bodies in position when hurling through space as we do. Then outside of our little bubble of atmosphere, we would have these various forces purportedly at work. So here's merry-go-round Earth spinning and orbiting and hurling through space in all these complicated but very strong planetary forces. Then man creates these comparatively little teeny tiny tin cans with firecrackers for propulsion, which we jettison off the planet against Earth's gravity and out of the merry-go-round atmosphere, which spins at the highest rate of 1,000 miles an hour into space and all its hostile planetary forces, which is moving at least 67,000 miles an hour compared to the Earth's surface, and the whole thing is moving at 514,000 miles an hour. Is there any explanation of how in the heck a firecracker tin can survive all that speed and inertia, not to mention the Van Allen belts? The initial inertial forces of jumping off the merry-go-round would turn our firecracker tin can into particulates. I've never heard of any flat Earth folks discuss the NASA hoax from this angle. Am I completely out to lunch, or is there substance here? Glad that you and Patricia are embarking on to the next level. Congratulations to you both. Even if there is commercialization of flat Earth, I think that's the only way it can get into the mainstream at all. Staying on the fringe will never change the culture. And in order to get any substantive traction, you have to change the globe culture. With that said, I may also have something to sell. Still working on it. Please feel free to let me know how that will all work, though I don't want to sell through your new endeavor. Thanks for all the good work. I've enjoyed the ride so far. Best regards, Carol Z. Thank you, Carol. And no, you're absolutely on the right track. And several people have made videos along these lines. In fact, even Matt Boylan has said that there's a lot of speed. 1,000 miles an hour, 60,000 miles an hour, 500,000 miles an hour. That's a lot of speed that's affecting one body, just one body. And we don't have any real evidence of that anywhere. The parallax of the stars, which has been brought up recently, which is, if we're moving through the galaxy at, 500,000 miles an hour, or just the solar system part of it, shouldn't we see some sort of why, the stars there should be some shifting of the stars around every once in a while because some are closer and some are farther away. And they're saying, well, they're such vast distances or light years away that we'd never be able to detect it. It's like, really? Nothing? So anyway, Carol, thank you very much, and keep looking up looking up more videos on this. There are people that I know. There's a lot of content out there now, but you will find it. And if you still can't find it, email me and I'll do some research, do some Boolean strings, and see if I can find something for you. Steve writes, Mark, you got to play Fallout 4, my current addiction. You must play it. I beg you. And then he links me a song by Skeeter Davis. I think it's a woman, if I'm not mistaken, called End of the World. Granted, it's about love lost, but it's used in the game for obvious reasons, and it makes for humorous tongue-in-cheek imagery in my mind's eye. Haha, I can see the globe Earth singing this. Steve. Thank you. If I ever get to Fallout 4, I don't know if I ever get to Fallout 4. But Skeeter Davis, End of the World, you're right, it's a great little song. And my current End of the World favorite song is REM, End of the World, where he says, it's the end of the world, and I feel fine. And the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine, which, again, really applies to this, because how can it be the end of the world as we know it and that you still feel fine? It's because the world's changed. It's gone from a globe to a flat plane, and in which case you would feel fine, because the only thing that's changed is the shape. You're still there. So, again, check out the REM lyrics to End of the World. Joshua writes, I'll start by saying I'm a new listener and have become a huge fan. Your insight is thought-provoking and cuttingly rational, which I certainly appreciate. Thank you kindly for your contribution. As you are aware, the Flat Earth topic / movement has become hugely popular among truthers. Although I do not currently subscribe to the Flat Earth model, shame on you, Joshua, I find the topic extremely fascinating. As such, I took the time to listen to your Flat Globe debate and was awfully disappointed with your guest's ability to debate the subject matter. And you're talking about the Dark 30 debate where I went up against Mark D'Antonio, where he quit, I think, after the first 20 minutes. Actually, he quit after the first 10. He just had to wait till the first break before he could slink away into his hotel room and hide underneath the covers. It felt like I was witnessing a title bout with only one champion in the ring. However, I applauded your ability to be respectful and inquisitive throughout the debate. I would like to see a round 2 episode with a real contender like Eric Dubé or Mark Sargent. Huh? I don't even understand that. Who has he sent this to? I've copied them. Oh, he sent that to the Dark 30. That's why. Again, thank you for your contribution, and he copied me on it. I love listening. Sincerely, Joshua Pierce, Chicago, Illinois. So, yeah, great. Wonderful. Let's see. John writes, Mark, I respect your work very much. While watching Flat Earth Clues, my jaw dropped a little by little as you were explaining things that I felt and thought about since I was about 10 years old. I'm 28 now. I really think that this year many people will change their perception of the Earth we live on. I have one suggestion. When you're saying nuclear, please avoid the easier nuclear. Please don't get me wrong. I'm from Eastern Europe and cannot understand why sometimes pronounced this way. Even Stanton Friedman uses nuclear sometimes. I'm just saying some people may look down on this. Thank you very much for what you are doing. And yes, you are from Eastern Europe, and so you don't get why. The reason why we say it is because we turned it into a slang. So yes, nuclear, N-U-C-L-E-A-R, which should be pronounced how it's spelled, nuclear, is the formal version, but the Americans, because we like turning everything into slang, changed it to nuke, which is spelled N-U-K-E. And so we use that a lot. It's like, oh, we're gonna nuke the Russians, we're gonna nuke the Chinese. Oh, maybe North Korea is gonna plan on nuking us. And so we have variations of that: nuke, nuking, nuked them, blah blah blah. But it's always spelled with a K. And so when you have to switch back to the formal version, which is with a C, most people forget and they slip in phonetically into the K, just like me. So and in spec, if you have certain accents, I mean, if you're from Texas, I don't even know how you would say it the normal way, which would be nuclear. It'd be a nuclear. It's an American thing, unfortunately. And when you hear me slipping into the word atomic is because generally I'm conscious enough of it that if I'm talking fast and I see that word coming, I'll switch over to atomic so I don't accidentally slipped into it because I do get emails maybe once a month from people saying, it's like, why are you saying nuclear? Anyway, thank you very much, John. Oh, who's the next one on our docket? Tim writes. What does Tim write? Hey, I'm a big fan of conspiracy theory and have long known we never went to the moon. The motivation for that lie was easy to understand. I read a book once suggesting that we were the center of the universe and the sun revolved around us and thought it was very interesting. The idea of flat Earth is difficult to accept, and I'm still working on it. I thank you for the great information you put together in your 9-part series. It's not 9, it's 12. Dude, it's all right. It was well-informed and well-narrated. Doing the math on the curve of the Earth and things not disappearing over the edge like they should and the no shortcuts rule are very compelling to me. My question for you is about the dome. Is there anything specific in all of your research that absolutely suggests a dome? Or is that something that has been assumed when realizing the Earth is flat? The idea of a dome can seriously change things. I see how it fits. I'm asking if there's any way for you to back it up, like you have with Earth's flatness. Thank you in advance. I have no idea how busy you are answering emails like this after putting your information out there, but it's pretty awesome of you. Thank you, Tim. Okay, Tim. I believe in a dome for several reasons. One, it just makes way more sense to me because whether or not this was built by the divine or if God subcontracted it out, you're going to either want to keep whoever's ever in here safe from whatever's on the outside, or you're going to want to keep whatever's on the outside safe from whatever's in here. Not to mention, it's just way more efficient to do. And it's in just about every religious text you can think of. I quote Genesis 1:6, the firmament. And that is the barrier that separates the waters above and the waters below. And the canopy is that it's drawn across the sky like a tent, and all the stars hung there inside of. If you want to have any doubt of that, please look up. If you want to go over chapter and verse, I'm not going to be able to do it as much justice as other people. Look up either Controversy 7 or Celebrate Truth or Rob Skiba and his wonderful website, testingtheglobe.com. You will find some wonderful, wonderful stuff there. So thank you, Tim. Tim also writes, nope, I duplicated that one. That's totally my fault. J. Lex Hewell writes, hi, I had once thought that people like yourself must be crazy or at least joking, but after watching dozens of hours of videos, I am now convinced that you are almost certainly right. The Earth is stationary and it is not a globe. I've been inspired to compose a piece of music that represents flat earthers. I am now a convert. I am a flat earther. This is my theme tune. This is the anthem of all flat earthers. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, what's this one? Really looking forward to it. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks, Mark. I just saw the Crow 777 vid on the ISS. You must have got him with your gateway drug, Greg. The Crow 777 thing, if you guys haven't caught that yet, is Crow 777, who was doing a lot of moon footage, and he did a wonderful series on the lunar waves where there was a resolution, a refresh issue, a vertical hold issue that was happening with the moon, which can only be detected with HD cameras that are really zoomed in. He did a recent ISS on the International Space Station, otherwise known as the Impossible Space Station, and he went into just a little aspect when they were showing the blonde astronaut who was washing her hair and all the editing that was done in it and how they were using a lot of sleight of hand to distract you from what was actually going on there. The whole hair washing technique was just ridiculous. And the gateway drug that Greg was always talking about is the clues, because the clues are, and I said this in the very first line, which is it's a Reader's Digest version. It's an introduction to the flat Earth theory that is so easy to swallow that it goes down like peppermint schnapps. And the kick comes later. So after you read it the first time, then you go it again because it's like, oh, this peppermint schnapps isn't doing anything. I'm going to have another bottle. And by the time you go through the second time, you're on the floor and you're wearing lampshades on your head. So thank you for Greg for realizing that my clues were equated to gateway drugs. So who else we got? Michael writes, hey, Mark, I've sent you other emails about laser gyros. I have some knowledge about these. I've been in avionics tech in the Navy and with United Airlines. Laser gyros have no error or precession like mechanical spinning mass gyros. So laser gyros on an aircraft would have to stay at the initial reference point when the IRS inertial reference system is aligned. The aircraft IRS system is aligned at the departure airport latitude and longitude and also oriented with the Earth horizon. With all of this in mind, the horizon is fixed at departure. So as the aircraft moves over the Earth at 500 miles an hour plus, the horizon on the HSI, or horizontal situation indicator, stays fixed. Horizon to the departure horizon. If the Earth was curved, the HSI would indicate a constant nose down if you were to stay at the same pressure altitude. If this were true, the pilot would have to make constant correction, a dramatic constant nose down trim angle. If this happened, any pilot would write up the aircraft as having a severe nose down trim problem. Clearly, this is not reality. The other interesting thing about laser gyros is they sense any movement in space. If the Earth was moving, you would get an error during the alignment phase of the IRS. If the Earth is moving at 1,047 miles an hour in rotation and 66,000 miles an hour around the sun and so on, this instrument would detect the movement. You guessed it. There is no such movement or sphere. One last thing, Mark. Please stop calling the air we breathe an atmosphere. It's fine. There is no sphere. I get it. So I should just call it the atmo? Air? How about just the air? Although I can't just call, well, I suppose I could call it air. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I had to point this error out. Call it atmos vapor or something. But would like to talk sometime, let me know. Be blessed, Michael. You got a point there. The atmosphere is very true. Again, it's reinforced in everything. Everyone uses the word atmosphere all the time. So I got to come up with a different. Maybe I'll just call it air for now, because atmos vapor. People are gonna look at me like they're a confused cat. But thank you, Michael. I had to work the cat in there. Oh, let's see. Brian writes, nope. Anthony writes, my name is Anthony Merriweather. I've been following the movement for a year now, but it feels like a lifetime. I just wanted to share how I was awakened to the flat earth. Last year, I was riding late at night with my sunroof open. I saw what at the time seemed like a UFO. I later saw this craft again in daylight, and it was some military-looking chopper. Looked somewhat like a drone. Anyway, this led me to watching the sky. As I was sky watching, I began to pay close attention to the sun and the moon and thought things didn't look right. They looked closer than what they should be. So, of course, I turned to YouTube, of course, to see if anybody else was seeing what I was. Surprisingly, I found videos of a guy speaking on a closed system. As I kept searching, Matt's video of him sharing his story came up. I've always been a free thinker, so his story intrigued me. So I started watching related Flat Earth videos. I came across your Flat Earth clues. It did not take me long at all. It just made everything that I felt growing up seem real. So needless to say, I caught the bug and wanted everyone to catch it. I quickly learned that everyone was ready to be awoken. So I've just begun to dig into it. Around November of last year, I tried to share again, and I knew a lot more. So far, everyone that I've shared with FE has accepted it, and I can't believe that they haven't seen this before. One of the best conversations I had was a few of my daughter's friends. They said, yes, we know the Earth is flat, but it's round too. This was funny to me. They said that we can see that it's flat, but they show us that it's round, so somehow it's both. I'm sorry for the long email. I really did try to make it short. One last thing. Did you see the new movie Gods of Egypt? They show a flat earth with a close sun. As me and my lady were watching it, she just looked over at me and said, they're just throwing it right in our faces. Thanks for the great work that you do and others too. Too many to list are doing. Be blessed. Anthony. Thanks, Anthony. That's really great. I got time for a couple more before the last break. Hey, Mark, I saw the video of Scott Kelly supposedly returning from the ISS after a year in space, and it struck me as odd that the three crew members returning didn't suit up in the relatively big space station with the help of the remaining crew, but chose to suit up in the very cramped Soyuz accommodation pod. Watch a video of them having their suits fitted and pressure checked before they take off. I think it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to suit up inside the Soyuz. The other thing that didn't add up was that they said the Soyuz suits are tailor-made for every astronaut to ensure a perfect fit. But then they say Scott Kelly had grown 2 inches during his stay, which meant his spacesuit didn't fit anymore, or did that grow 2 inches as well? I know this is not proof of anything, but it does highlight the contradictory information NASA churns out. Keep up the good work. Regards, Neil. Tim writes, "Hey Mark, I look forward every week to your radio show and been nearly converted to a flat earther. One thing that still has me stuck in a globular reality is the phases of the moon. I'm aware of Crow 777's lunar wave videos, and your theory about the moon not being what we're told. Interesting, yet not solid evidence for me. So my question is, do you know how our ancestor scientists explained this phenomenon back when the Earth was known to be flat?" Tim, lost in the woods of Oregon. He actually wrote that. I didn't. That's a good question. How did the ancients talk about back when the Earth was flat, what the moon phases were? Good point. Because if there was no Earth between the sun and the moon, then how were there phases if the Earth was flat? It's a good one. If anyone's got some on that, let me know. Love to hear it. Do I have time for one more? One more? Yeah. Ted writes, "Hey Mark, congratulations for you and Patricia's new daily format coming soon. I wish you both great success. You two make a great team. Also, don't know if you saw my video of Sinatra and Elvis singing to Patricia for Valentine's Day. She's looking so fine." And he sends me the link. Thank you, Ted Toth. So yes, yeah, Patricia is, let's face it, she's relatively attractive. I mean, it's difficult for me to look at her sometimes. Because, no, I'm kidding. She's really, really attractive. It kills me every time. And I'm just finally doing my stuff with her. We're face to face, and it's rather distracting. Oh, thank God for the break, because that was getting awkward. Welcome back to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. This starts our last segment, and yes, that was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album Night and Day. Before that, we finished a 6-hour John Tesh, I Want to Kill Myself 6-hour marathon. And after this, we might do like another Donnie and Marie Osmond marathon. But first, let's get to, no offense to Donnie and Marie, they were great entertainers, weren't they? Remind me next time, and I'll tell you a trivia story about those guys. We're doing Flat Earth Mailbag, and let's get right back into it. Hey, Mark, my name is Dennis. I live in Oregon on the dry side of the state. You can use my name on air or wherever you want. I really don't have any reason to hide who I am. Thanks, Dennis. I will first off state that I am not fully on board with the flat Earth. That being said, I am on board with the globe as we are taught. I do know something is not right. I was thinking the other day about the whole planes flying from east to west and west to east thing. The so-called science guys claim that somehow magically the atmosphere, air, we'll say the air moves with the Earth. And this is why a jet flying east does not fly faster, or at least cover more ground. You would think that the Earth would keep traveling at 1,100 miles an hour under the plane jet, but whatever. The problem I have with that is this. So the experts say that the Earth and the air are linked, fine. But how then do spacecraft, especially the Apollo mission capsules, re-enter this 1,100 mile an hour air without being torn to ribbons? Think about it. In low gravity, heading back to Earth, you would be moving towards the air, then bam, you would hit this wall of air moving up to 1,100 miles an hour. I have seen what hurricanes do, but imagine 1,000 mile an hour winds coming back to Earth upon re-entry. A 2x4 can go through a tree in tornado winds. Imagine the sheer force of 1,000 mile an hour air coming at you. They cannot have it both ways. Either there is a problem with the jet flight over the Earth or re-entry. Those Apollo capsules would not survive this 1,000 mile an hour re-entry air. Or, at very least, set hurtling off course and tumbling back to Earth in the most wild storm you've ever seen. I have no PhD or any fancy credentials, nor have I tested this theory. Perhaps it has already been explained by others? Maybe this doesn't even make sense. Just thought I would reach out and contribute. Love your show and your work. And while I have some issues with the flat Earth model, I do know something is not as it seems, and I tend to lean towards flat Earth. I was going to call you to explain this letter, but I work nights and didn't want to call at a bad time. Take care, and God bless Dennis. Thanks, Dennis, very much. And you're right. The bigger one for me would be, for example, if you were coming back from Mars, if you're taking like a return trip, anyone that's thinking about faking the Mars mission, think of this. You're coming back from Mars because this would be the first time ever because, up until now, everything you've explained has always been between the moon and back. But if you're coming back, forget about the 1,000 miles an hour spinning. That Earth is coming in at 60 plus thousand miles an hour. How exactly are you going to land? Because your spaceships, I know for a fact that none of our rockets can come even close to that speed, even in a vacuum. Not that they can travel in a vacuum, but we see speeds. The ISS is doing 20,000 miles an hour, roughly. We'll round up. 60,000 miles is 3 times that speed. So how exactly are you going to get those guys back from Mars if you got them there in the first place? And what fuel are you using to get back from Mars? That's a one-way trip, man. You land there, you don't have nearly the resources to come back, which could be why The Martian, starring Matt Damon, got so much play this year. Academy Award nominee. Really? Academy Award nominee? Please, it was a ripoff, complete ripoff of the Red Planet. Or was that Mission to Mars? I think it was the Red Planet. No, it was Mission to Mars with Don Cheadle. It was a complete ripoff for that. Check it out when you get a chance. I mean, yeah, I know it was only barely 10 years ago, but you watch that movie. All right, moving on. Sorry, I didn't want to get off on a rant, but NASA, every time I think of them, they just irritate me. Jason writes, if you read this on your show, don't use my name. Okay, John Doe. I was just listening to your interview with Rob Skiba, and you were talking about the Leonardo DiCaprio Pope thing, and something dawned on me. Those in the know, secret societies, the authority, elites, etc., deal in symbology a great deal. It's how they communicate their intentions to the world, telegraph their moves, and get our unconscious permission, which they apparently need. A symbolic take on it would be that DiCaprio is acting symbolically as mankind, and the Bosch painting is our original worldview from ancient times, which we need to reacquire to create a balance. DiCaprio says, my father put it there, and as a child, I didn't quite understand what it all meant. If DiCaprio is mankind, then his father is the creator. I find it hard to believe that my father in the last 50 years would hang a Bosch painting above a child's crib or bed. I know that you have seen the painting that DiCaprio refers to in his interactions with the Pope. The 3 panels represent, from left to right, paradise, earth, and hell. I think DiCaprio's visit was an expression of mankind's desire to return to paradise through an accurate understanding of our world, which has been obscured. So, who is the Pope representing symbolically? He looks pretty nervous, if you ask me. That's just one take on it. There are always many layers to these kinds of things, but the implications are interesting. Jason, and you're absolutely right, Jason. There's a very interesting thing, and for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, it's on my channel as well as other people, and that is look up Leonardo DiCaprio, the Pope, and Flat Earth. You will see when Leonardo was there just recently. In fact, it was the morning after Neil deGrasse Tyson dropped the mic on the Flat Earth movement, so to speak. He was talking to the Pope. Remember, the Pope's very, very busy, probably the busiest guy ever. You get 15 minutes with him, and that's if you're an A-list, Oscar-nominated actor from the United States. And he's supposed to be talking about climate change, and he gave him a book, and he pointed out the Hieronymus Bosch paintings, which depicted a flat Earth. And he said it represented a promise of the future and enlightenment. It just blew me away. Why would you be talking to and the Pope knew full well what this painting was. He knew full well that it was a 3-part painting that opened it up, but closed. So it's a painting within a painting. So when you close the painting, the cover of the painting is a snow globe Earth, where it's a flat surface covered by a dome. So very, very interesting. Moving on. We got a few more. Hopefully, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them. This one's from Lori. We got time, but we can't run late. like we do sometimes on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. We are strictly to a schedule here, which is good because I'm German. Lori writes, "Hey, Mark, wow, where do I begin? I started to wake up about 2 months ago. I became obsessed with finding the truth. After only a short amount of time, I remember thinking to myself, I'll never be the same again. I can't unknow what I know now. Thanks so much for sharing your videos. It's funny. After I was about half to 3/4 of the way through They Are Hiding God with the Greatest Lie Ever video, that's the big mashup of all the clues, just so you know, I was wondering where the God part of it was. As a matter of fact, I think there was actually something you mentioned that led me to believe you didn't think there was a God aspect to it at all. I started writing some notes to you. Then there it was. Apparently, lots of other people sent you a plethora of biblical information concerning the firmament. I got goosebumps, which seems to be my body's go-to where aspects of God, Jesus, and divinity are concerned with me. One thing I think your video is lacking, if I may be so bold, is the fact that we are in a spiritual battle. To be honest, I only watched this particular video of yours, so I'm not sure if you covered anything about Illuminati, Freemasonry, and or tied to all of the fact that our earth is and always has been in spiritual warfare. Jesus equals truth. Satan is a liar. I took a long, dark path until I found God. That's the whole story in itself, but the reason that I'm mentioning it now is because even now I'm still searching for truth, and I've been a Christian for 21 years. I've moved from one church to another every couple of years, sometimes attending 2 or 3 at a time. I've never really found one that I felt completely at peace with. Fundamentally, I knew I had it right. There is a God. He had a son, Jesus, who died on the cross for me. They know me and love me. I didn't just know these things because someone told me to believe it, because the words resonated with me and I deeply felt them as truth. That aside, I still felt there was something missing. Some sort of understanding I wasn't quite grasping. A couple of months ago, it became clearer to me. Of course, I don't have a complete unobstructed enlightenment of God and how it all works, because quite honestly, I think he keeps that knowledge from us, or it would quite literally blow our minds. As I start to uncover more and more information, I had to be discerning, and that is the tough part. I mean, we're talking about a false reality. There's a lot of misinformation, liars, trolls, and just good-hearted people who got it wrong somewhere along the way. It's a lot to sift through. I'm a rookie with all of this, but it's a lifelong search, and hopefully I will keep adding to my collection of truths. I don't really remember what started my search, but I do remember in the very beginning it was about Alex Jones, Bohemian Grove, then Freemasonry, Hollywood, MK Ultra, mind control. Yep, I was down the rabbit hole. Surprisingly enough, when videos started coming up about the flat earth, I embraced it. The fog had been lifted so succinctly and so quickly, it was not a difficult pill to swallow. I could go on for days, but I'll spare you. I just wanted to give you a shout out that not only did I enjoy your video, but helped me peel back another layer of lies for me. Thanks. Keep fighting the good fight. Lori. Smiley face. P.S. Oh, FYI, yes, we are in spiritual warfare, but no worries. It's part of the plan. God already won. So sure are you? Everybody does like a happy ending, though. I'll give you that. Let's see. This is a fairly big one. This one's from Stephanie. Stephanie writes, "Hey, Mark, my name is Stephanie, and I'm a newer flat earther, 6 months or so. So I've been doing my research and watched your videos. I'm 100% sure the earth is flat. My husband and mother are convinced as well. So I work at a big TV network, one of the biggest in the world. We have a station in West Los Angeles. Aside from our big studio lot here in West LA, on top of our building, we have a few satellites, and it's something I've thought about. So I asked one of my more open-minded coworkers from our broadcast operations department, what do the satellites point to? And he jokingly said, the sky. So I say, they aren't pointing straight up. To what he answers, they are pointing at the satellites in space. Aha, just what I wanted. So I ask, do the satellites on a roof move? And he answers, some do. Some are fixed and never move. So naturally I act dumb and question this. Why don't they move? And he says, maybe catching on to the reasoning behind my question, the satellites in space orbit with the Earth. I've worked with this person for years, so I talk in ways that I wouldn't to strangers. I answered, is that what they tell you? And he says, who tells me? Your higher ups, your bosses, science, whatever. His actual answer was, they orbit with the Earth because the Earth is round. Wow, that escalated quickly. I answer, if that's what you want to believe, but the Earth is flat, it makes much more sense than a still satellite points to a still satellite on a flat stationary plane. He stops. I see him thinking. He looks to me and to go on, so I do. Our satellites not only move because there is no orbit, but that also explains how we receive and send a satellite on our roof. It's not pointing to no stupid orbiting satellite. It's pointing to another satellite on another roof. He then spends the rest of the workday with me asking questions about the flat Earth. So now you know the satellites on our roof are stationary, just like our marvelous flat plane. Even though these engineers are told they are pointing to a satellite in space that orbits with the Earth, does that even make sense? And why does anyone question this? I'm a producer at Fox. I've been with Fox for many years now. I ask that you keep my personal information confidential. Okay, so her name is now Jan Doe. Jane Doe. Yep. Sorry, Steph. Didn't mean to. You gotta put that in the beginning. Anyway, she works at Fox. Thanks for everything you do in the flat Earth. And again, don't be ashamed. You gotta remember, other people have come out. Yeah, they've caught some flack for it, but B.O.B.'s going on tour. His tour wasn't canceled just because he was doing flat Earth. The question is, will he be singing his flat Earth song Flatline while he's on tour? Somebody find that out for me. Danny writes, Sir, thank you so much for your videos. I spent a lot of time this week to learn and to understand the subject. Now I know that my eyes see correctly. I found your videos on the French website in France. I would hope so, if it's a French website. And I'm not going to spell it because it's the SAVOISIEN.com. Thank you so much, and God bless you, Danny Curion, French-Canadian, Quebec City, Canada. So, great. Wonderful. Next. Some of these are big. James writes. What's James write? I watched your Flat Earth Clues videos on YouTube back in around September 2015. I like them. I used to watch YouTube videos about aliens. As I would settle in for bed, I would put YouTube on my iPhone and cast the videos to my Chromecast on my TV. I then was looking to find new videos on alien encounters, feeling that I'd watched so many and could only come across what appeared to be the same ones. I told myself, come on, in today's day and age of technology, why are there no more? Then for some reason, I came across a video that referenced the documentary A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. I was in kind of shock, but took it all in stride and started in that direction. And then out of nowhere, all these things about flat Earth. I'm a reasonable man and started wondering as well, hey, what's this all about? As of now, I'm wondering, what's the next step? I mean, all I hear online now is people arguing back and forth, and no one is referencing, and no one that I can find is referencing a solution to the actual proof. I do understand the question, where's the curvature? I am still looking. But seriously, are you headed in any direction other than the current show you have, Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes? Or is that the end? The flat Earth is a crazy notion. And until it was brought to my attention, I never questioned the ball Earth model. But now it appears to be a serious debate. My question is, does it appear to you that people are legitimately going to try to prove this further beyond any doubt? Or are people just going to argue on YouTube about this debate and do nothing? I am not interested in having people know my name or my company information, but I did not want to send this email and hide it behind a dummy. Thanks, Mark. I'm not going to say his name. Well, at least I got that one right. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, if you're listening to this right now, the Flat Earth Network is going to start up where it's a dedicated Flat Earth Network with the Flat Earth Show with Patricia and myself. And other people are going to be joining the show. It's going to be a subscription service. As far as getting proofs go, everyone's working on their own different versions of it, which is great. There's a lot of really, really smart people out there that are diligently moving forward. But the thing I'm trying to focus on is testimonies from subject matter experts and, of course, getting the word out, to interviewing as many times as I can to as many people, just spreading the word as fast as I can, because I firmly believe that the 100th monkey effect will take place, which is if you get enough people to know about this thing, you will the world will change. I think there's a threshold when it comes to this system. I think And I don't know what the magic number is. I don't. I mean, some people said, well, is it when we hit 10 million views on, or 10 million relevant hits on YouTube? I don't know. But I do know that, like with any system, especially a closed system, once a certain threshold is reached, then a trigger is flipped. And the people that are responsible for this place, they have to come forward. Because then there's too many questions for the authorities, and even though the authorities would be under too much pressure, and the authorities are dragging their feet as it is. They're talking about shutting down the ISS. Wouldn't that be interesting if the ISS all of a sudden ran into some sort of accident where it just started tumbling through space, and it's like, oh, it's tragic. Is anyone going to get off in time? And maybe some of them will, maybe some of them won't. Could be why Scott Kelly got out when he did. So, but thank you very much, mystery person who does not want to be named. Ron writes, hey, my name is Ron Lutz. I want to thank you for the flat earth info you have brought to my attention. It was kind of funny. I clicked on a flat earth video for a few laughs, but what I found was you talking about this subject with such a clear, organized list of facts that anyone from any walk of life could relate to it. Let me tell you that this subject has been an eye-opener, and without a doubt, the round earth is the biggest lie ever told. Please, Mark, be careful with this info. There's got to be a way to get this info out without exposing yourself. I can see you're a good guy just trying to get the truth out there to other good people, but I'm sure you already know people have been killed for much less than this huge breakthrough. You really should rethink this. Find another way. I don't want to turn on the computer one day and find out that you have been taken out. Thanks again, all caps, your friend Ron. Also all caps. Ron, I'm not worried. Because with something this big, and I've stated this from the beginning, once the ball started rolling here, I could die in a single car accident tomorrow. Wouldn't that be the case? And the movement would keep going because there's so many people that are waking up to us, and there's so many great people making videos. I mean, I've got 200 videos on my channel, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. In fact, if you type in just flat earth and put it in quotes into YouTube, it's 800,000 unique videos. And that's just flat earth saying flat earth right next to each other, not the earth is flat and, is all the other variations of it. So don't worry. I mean, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to take it to the end. I got to see where this thing's going because the truth and the revelation and the revealment of this is way too important for me not to. Of course, it's easier, for me to say because I've never been married, never had kids. So I have to do it, and I'm not going to stop. And regardless of the fact that I'm selling a book that covers flat Earth, it doesn't change my message. The new radio station is not going to change my message. I'm just going to. The clues are still up. I never revamped them. I may do a 2.0 version with better graphics eventually, but for now, I'm saying the same thing that I did in the beginning. And if you have any doubt of that, listen to my first interview and listen to my. It's eventually going to be my 70th interview. I'm still saying the same stuff. So if anyone thinks that I'm steering this in a certain direction or leading you guys a different path, please let me know. I'd love to know what I'm doing. So do we have time to finish up the rest of these in the last 5 minutes? We got a few. Mark, I was very impressed with the data you put together for your Flat Earth app for Android. Well, I didn't do that. That was done by iMobilize, but thank you. You gave compelling and well put together arguments. When you reach the God section at the end, well placed, that's where you lose me. The why is always going to be speculated unless one can provide proof other than a Bible or other religious text, most likely developed as part of a control system. The Bible is proof of misogyny, racism, prejudice, elitism, psychopathy, child abuse, incest, and many other things. To use it as some sort of moral compass to put your right hand on is ludicrous. The fact that a court system does this says much about the system itself and its creators. I understand that you are speculating on the why of the proposed flat earth. You have piqued my interest. While I'm not subscribing just yet, including religion alongside the other tangible evidence gives me great pause. I can see that something is rotten in Denmark. Thank you for your time. And Jason Glass. Jason, I challenge you, if you fully become committed to the flat earth, to be an atheist. Because if this place was built, then it was created. Created means a creator. And you can only come to one of two conclusions. That is, either it was created by the divine or God subcontracted this out to a highly evolved race. which is why I couldn't leave the Bible out. I couldn't, or any religion for that matter. You know, the big five being Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. Everyone's got their own take on this, and they all seem to agree that it was created and that there's structure to it. So, again, no offense, but when you finally sink into the whole flat Earth thing, try to tell me you're an atheist, believing in the flat Earth and the dome system. I just can't see it. But thank you for letting me know anyway. I'm not going to shoot down people's emails just because they disagree with mine. Steve writes, and he actually uses my slang name from high school, which is Sarge. Sarge, while attempting to humor myself, as I sit down to write some user manuals for lottery software, I pulled up a YouTube video entitled Neil deGrasse and Joe Rogan Debate Moon Landings. They didn't debate anything. Always admired Rogan for his quest for truth. Unfortunately, he was chosen to be tapped on the shoulder by the Red Shield, so he is bought and paid for now. I just wanted to hear what the two had to say, although I already know the answer. This is not what I'm emailing you about, though. What I'm reaching out to you for is to share the ad that popped up when I launched the vid. You see, usually my mouth hovers over the area of the video where skip ad appears, but I can't wait long enough to press it. But what's this? A new TV show about conspiracies being advertised on a moon landing discussion video. History Channel, a Red Shield institution, is pushing this show. In the ad, one of the guests says, "The moon landings were faked by Kubrick," to which the show's host, Craig Ferguson, replies, "No." Then the guy who then originally brought it up says, "Yeah, it couldn't have been him. It would have been 3 hours longer and they'd be having sex with masks on." Funny. A total joke, but this is only proving your point. They are firing back with entertainment, and it is all scripted to be a laughingstock. Steve. Good point, Steve. And no, I'm not going to be watching that show. Do I have time for this last big one? No, I do not. I'm going to have to do a smaller one first. Let's see. E writes, all this flat earth speculation is new to me, although there have been posts out there for some time. I want to take a moment and thank you for doing the piles of research into your presentation. You have a good, clear voice and are very thorough. People can and will ridicule all they want, but it's only because they are afraid and angry, and they are angry because they are afraid they may have been duped. If for no other reason, these few things should cause people to pause. The flight patterns in the southern hemisphere, the ridiculously secure Antarctica, and so many inconsistencies with info that has come from NASA and government officials. I never gave the movie industry, that's where I glaringly omitted much, though, until you pointed it out. Good job. Thanks for sticking your neck out there. E. From Flat Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's end on a positive note. That's a fun one to end on. Thank you for everybody else that wrote me. We're going to be wrapping up the show tonight in just a few seconds. Again, looking for subject matter experts. Anyone out there that wants to tell their story. Love to have anybody in the aerospace industry or anyone that's tied to NASA in some way. You can email me at msargent23@comcast.net. Please check out the book when you get a chance. It's Flat Earth Clues, The Sky's the Limit. That's on Amazon.com. So that's it. You guys have fun until next time, okay? Stay flat.